Today we're talking about 3 things you need to know when welding really thin sheet metal. So what does thin sheet metal actually mean? Well, it can mean just about anything depending on who you're talking to and the type of materials that they're used to working with. But for me, I kind of consider everything 1/8 of an inch or 16 gauge and lower as thin sheet metal. And that's because when you start to get into material that's that thin and even thinner like some stamped steel, you have to use different consumables like a smaller MIG wire, and you actually need to change your welding technique to join the metals together. Now, what wire do we use? Well, we use an 023 wire. Generally just kind of keep it close on hand in case we got to switch over. We just use an 023 wire, and since we don't do a whole lot of thin stuff, we just keep a small spool around. All right, so a few things to consider before we get started. One is this is thin material, so the rules, the structural welding rules don't really apply to this stuff. We're gonna be doing things a little bit differently just to keep us from melting and blasting through the material. That's totally okay because thin gauge material generally isn't used for anything structural. This is stuff that's like ornamental, barbecue grills, floor pans, things like that. Things that don't hold a lot of weight. All right, so we've got everything clamped together. Now to start everything off, we're just gonna do spot welding, and that's really all we're gonna be doing throughout this entire thing is just spot welding and moving around. The important thing is we don't wanna go in a straight line because that heat is gonna build up. So we're gonna bounce around on our line and let those welds cool before we come back to them. When we go back, all we're doing is just more tack welds until everything is filled up. All right guys, so that's it for this one. That is how to weld thin material together. Now, if you have any other questions about welding thin stuff and even really thin stuff like stamped steel, those cool stamped leaves and floral ornaments that you can get like from King, leave the comments below. There's some interesting tricks you need to know when welding that stuff that we can go into in another video if you guys want to see it. So that's it for this one. See you next time.